Hello, everybody. Um, so now, over the next few minutes, I'm going to tackle some of your Q's, and I'm going to affix my A's to the Q's that I can to which I can give a good answer, to which I can, I don't know, to which I feel that I can have have something at least interesting to say about. Um, let's get started. Hopefully, um, things will go well for both for you and for me. We'll see uh, as we begin. So this time I'm going to go from oldest to newest, just because I think that's a little fairer. The ones who left the comments first should get them addressed first, don't you think? I think so. So I had one comment on my email, which was, is Bitcoin for real? I have absolutely no good answer to that question. I'm the last person that you should ask that question to. I'm just not that up on economic market kinds of issues. So, is Bitcoin for real? I don't know. I'm gonna use cash for as long as I can, because it seems like that's what the elites don't want me to do. So that's what I figure it's best for me to do. And plus, when you use cash, you can't be tracked. Um, so I'd just go with cash. But Bitcoin might be good too. Um, have I read DIA 752 asks if I've read Donald Jeffries' book Bullyocracy. I have not. I'm not familiar with the author or any of his other books. You can tell me more about him below and why you think I should read him, if you would like. Paul Wright asks, "Do you like Devo?" Yes, Devo's righteous. They're a bunch of righteous dudes. Um, you know, new wave pioneers. Definitely, tons of respect there. I'm not exactly a fan of Devo, but I admire them. I mean, when I say I'm not a fan, I don't own any of their cassette tapes, because that was my primary way of listening to music back in my heyday, was the cassette. Will you examine the profound lyrics of Mike and the Mechanic's "Silent Running"? That is actually a pretty cool song, kind of a sci-fi dystopia song that is unfortunately very much more relevant today than it was in 1986 or whenever it was released. Dia asks again, have you read any of E. Michael Jones's books? Yes. The one that I remember the most is Libido Dominandi, and I liked it a lot. I think I also read his book about called Monsters from the Id, about horror movies, and I thought it was interesting. But the thing is, I think Jones sometimes thinks maybe thinks he's more of a pioneer than he really is. I remember him saying something in that book about, well, I'm the only one who's studied Dracula as far as the metaphor of blood, the sucking of blood as a metaphor for syphilis or whatever. He said something like that just seemed really kind of pompous, and I don't think that's true, because the entire 1993 version of Dracula was about, or it made the one directed by Francis Ford Coppola made that comparison very readily apparent. And I don't know, I don't think he's the only one. I think he he gets an ID fixé. I think he's a brilliant writer, but I think he gets stuck on a certain kind of subject somewhat obsessively and won't let it go. I think that's that's a flaw that I see in his writing. I humbly offer that observation because I'm not claiming to be a better scholar than him or anything like that. Crypto, how should one navigate in the post-COVID, he even saying that word, world, whenever our elites decide COVID? I think if every time you say it, you should say it in that kind of tone. Is dealt with. How should one navigate in the post-COVID world? I don't know exactly what you're asking. I think we should navigate with caution and with skepticism and not believing anything we're told. But I don't know if that's what you mean. Even when this manufactured crisis goes away, there'll be other manufactured crises. Right. AD says Year Zero by Nine Inch Nails. Glance at the timeline. Okay, yeah, you've talked about this a few times, and I did look it up, and it's interesting. You say it's quite disgusting. I don't know what you mean by that. It is like a sci-fi dystopian, like a timeline of things getting worse and worse, and this happening and that happening, and so forth. I didn't see what was disgusting or sinister about it necessarily, so maybe you could explain that to me. Bonto Man asks, where do you stand on Hemingway and his style, characterized by brevity? I dig the Hemingway style, but I'm much more of a Fitzgerald man. I know that makes me less manly, but I love F. Scott Fitzgerald's writing. But I like how I like Fitzgerald's. Hemingway's style, because it was, it's sort of made it his. He took the language and made it his own in his own distinctive way. I haven't read enough Hemingway to be able to comment with much more profundity than that, but I'm in favor of those who are innovative with language, and I think he was, from what I know about him. Okay. Oops, I skipped down a little bit. Okay. Right. Paul Wright has a lot of questions. I don't think I'll have an interesting answer to some of them. So the ones I skip, it's nothing personal. He asked if I will do a review. Paul Wright is obsessed with 80s pop culture stuff. That seems to be his whole raison d'etre. Will you do movie reviews of The Legend of Billie Jean, 3 O'Clock High, and Rick Springfield's Hard to Hold? I don't think I'll do The Legend of Billie Jean. I remember it. Fire is fire. But at 3 O'Clock High, I never saw. I remember it being advertised, but I never saw it. Rick Springfield's Hard to Hold, I think, is pretty crappy. I hate to say it because I'm a fan of the guy's music. I like his music. And Love Somebody is a great power pop anthem, which is, I think, from that movie. Paul asks, would you rather be trapped on the Love Boat in the 70s with Benny Hill, Lonnie Anderson, and Gopher, or be quarantined in 2021 forever? I choose the Love Boat. I'd have to think about that. That's a trapped on the Love Boat forever. I mean, I'm sure it would be amusing for a couple of weeks, but after a while, I think the novelty would wear thin. And I know 2021 sucks, but it's not like just being on a ship in the middle of the ocean with a bunch of celebrities. All right. Paul Wright asks, will you examine the profound lyrics of Gordon Lightfoot's Sundown? I really like that song. Yeah, that's a cool song. I might just do that. I don't know the other two songs that well that you ask about. I'm going to skip that question because there's another one about Catholicism further down, which covers the same sort of thing. Bonto Man asks, was there any part of the insurrectionist plot that you drastically changed from an early draft? No, there was no. I don't really work that way. I don't. I basically write everything out, and that's essentially the finished project, except for cleaning stuff up. I don't really have an early draft and then rewrite it and leave some things out and put some things in. I don't really work that way. I just basically write it all in one draft, and then that's what it's going to be. But then I go through it again and extensively clean it up. Not only try to clean up all the typos, and of course I don't get them all. And I'm well aware that a couple of them even got into the published book, which irritates me to no end. But I learn to live with it. I'm not an extreme perfectionist. So no, there was nothing different in the insurrectionist plot that I changed from an early draft. That's an interestingly specific question, though. Okay, Bonto asks, what is the hardest stage of writing a novel? I don't know. I think once you found, in my experience, once you found inspiration, you're good to go. You just have to plow ahead. Once you've got that inspiration kicking in, you have to stick with it, and you have to make time for yourself, and that can be difficult depending on your schedule and if you have other stuff you have to do. Bonto Man, I don't have anything interesting to say about font or line spacing. I just don't. I'm not that technical. Not that technical of a guy. Justin Fisher says, and what is your take on the fiction of Flannery O'Connor? I like the and what. Like he's continuing that from some earlier thing he said. I love Flannery O'Connor, Southerner, Catholic, Southern grotesque writer of, really, really out there, freakish, she wrote a lot of, her stories are very grim, but also very funny. It's sort of a, I remember, thinking, it's thinking a good man is hard to find, was like a kind of pre-Tarantino kind of thing, or Tarantino is like a post Flannery O'Connor more. That would be giving the lady more respect. I thought she was a brilliant writer in the short story format, much like Edgar Allan Poe. Really perfected the craft of the short story format. I know she wrote a novel or two as well. But yeah, big fan of Flannery O'Connor. Here in Savannah, her childhood home is a landmark, and you can visit it, and I never have visited it. But it's right across from the downtown cathedral. Okay. Andy, what do you think of the Latin dia asks, what do you think of the Latin Mass? Ever attended one? Yes, I have attended Latin Mass. I like the Latin Mass. Um, I'm I'm not a Latin Mass or bust kind of person. I'm not somebody who thinks that the the ordinary Mass, or what's derisively called by the traditionalists the Novus Ordo, I don't think that it's illegitimate. I think it's perfectly legitimate, and I think that it can be delivered reverently because I've heard it delivered reverently. Um, there are Catholic masses with just awful, awful aesthetics, guitar strumming kind of stuff, and I hate that. I hate it. I hate anything that smacks of modernism. Uh, but I think that the the what's called the ordinary mass, which is the post conciliar mass, where it's not all in Latin, where it's in the native language of the people who are using it. I think I'm cool with that. But I do think that people who prefer the Latin Mass should be able to get the Latin Mass, and I'm not big on what the current Pope is doing and cracking down on the Latin Mass people. I think that's pretty crappy of him to do, but it's par for the course with this Pope. So I'm sort of, interestingly, I'm sort of moderate on the Latin Mass. I don't know if I would say that it's a preference for me, but I do like it. Um, when I was in Wisconsin, I attended an SSPX parish, and the priest there, spoke in very just gave this very uh, um, very stern pontificating kind of lecture about how, oh well, the people, if you're not with us, if you don't see the new mass as just complete garbage, then you're just a pseudo traditionalist. You're just a quasi traditionalist. Um, I thought that was out of line, or that was just unnecessarily, needlessly. Um, what's the word? I don't know. Just he didn't need to be quite so um, quite so dogmatic, quite so unyielding, quite so harsh uh, in the rhetoric that he used. But it's unfortunately kind of par for the course with the SSPX, and I hate to say that because I'm an ally. I consider myself an ally of theirs, but they're a lot of them just seem like very sort of harsh, unyielding uh, people. I'm sure some of them are nice, don't get me wrong, but that's just been my impression when I visited their parishes. Um, Armored Ghost, do you have any new thoughts on how post-marriage America is and where things are headed? Post-marriage America? I mean, marriage is still a thing. People still get married. I think I know what you mean when you say post-marriage, because marriage is on the rocks. Marriage is in trouble. And I don't have any thoughts on where things are headed. I don't know what to say in answer to that question, unfortunately. I hope to see marriage make a comeback, traditional marriage make a comeback. But what can you do but pray about that? I mean, the culture is shit right now. There's not much that gives young people very much guidance um, as far as traditional notions of marriage go. All right. Well, let me stop there. I'll make this part one. Looks like I'm going to have to do at least a part two to answer the rest of the questions. Thanks for watching. Talk to you all in a bit.